This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to The Wire, Agent Edition, the week in real estate presented in digestible bites. Hold on while our AI hosts take us on another ride through this week's top real estate headlines.
Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. And another week down. And of course, we are focusing in on all of you real estate professionals out there.
That's right.
As always, we have been digging through a whole stack of articles this week, all with the goal of bringing you the most important insights, identifying the trends that are actually going to matter, and highlighting the strategies that you can actually use today to move your business forward. So think of this as like a little bit of a cheat sheet or a shortcut.
Yes.
To staying ahead of the game in this crazy real estate world.
Yeah, we've got a lot to unpack this week. We're looking at everything from the really personal side of how you connect with your clients to the really kind of techie side of, marketing and how that's all changing. And then also like some interesting shifts in kind of how agents are moving around in the industry. So you've given us a really diverse set of articles. And our goal here, as always, is to just kind of dig into them, see where the common threads are, and try to give you a clear picture of what's happening and why it matters to you.
Okay, so one thing that really jumped out at us from reading these articles was this emphasis on relationships. And personal connection in real estate. And it almost sounds obvious, right?
It does. But I think it's something that we can easily overlook when we get caught up in, all of the technology and the marketing and all of that stuff. So it was really nice to see it highlighted in a few of these articles.
Yeah, I think Christine Hansen's piece in Realtor Magazine really drove this point home.
Yeah. She argues that despite all the tools that we have available, all the technology, real estate is still ultimately a relationship business. It's about trust and rapport. And her advice centers around engaging with your sphere of influence. So, initiating conversations, understanding where potential sellers are in their life journey. Maybe they've been in their home for 15 or 20 years, or maybe they're looking at investment portfolios. But the key takeaway is that your online presence should be a springboard for offline interaction. It's not just about having a website or a social media profile. It's about actually connecting with people in the real world.
Right, like building that bridge.
Exactly.
From the digital to the tangible.
That's it.
And Lawrence Bolito's blog post from NAR really backed that up with some concrete numbers.
Yes.
He points out that in 2023, 20% of an agent's business came from repeat clients.
Wow.
And 21% came from referrals. That's almost half of your business.
Jeez.
Coming from those existing relationships. It really makes you think, right?
It really does. And what Bolito does really well in his piece is break down the how-to of building those lasting relationships. And he kind of echoes what Hansen was saying about the importance of a genuine online presence. But then he goes deeper into personalizing that client experience. So that means truly understanding what your clients need and being able to adapt your communication style. Are they text people? Are they email people? Do they prefer phone calls? And even trying to anticipate their next steps throughout the process. So it's not just about, closing the deal. It's about thinking long term.
Yeah, it's about fostering that relationship, even beyond the closing table. And speaking of fostering relationships, Daryl Davis's article in Rise Media had an interesting take on the often dreaded phone prospecting. I know a lot of agents kind of cringe when they hear that.
Absolutely.
But he actually reframes those calls and says the goal shouldn't just be to get the appointment, but rather to really build a connection and position yourself as a helpful resource.
Yeah, it's about that human voice, cutting through all the noise.
Right. And, I think we can all relate to that in our own lives. If we feel like someone's just trying to sell us something, we immediately put up our guard.
Exactly.
But if we sense that someone genuinely cares and is trying to help us, then we're much more open to what they have to say. So it's almost like a softer approach to this activity that can sometimes feel very transactional.
I like that softer.
Yeah.
It is.
And what's interesting is that even some more traditional methods still kind of highlight this power of personal connection. And I'm talking about the Housing Wire article on door knocking.
Oh, wow.
I know it sounds a little old school, right?
Yeah, in the digital age.
But the article actually points out that those face-to-face interactions can have surprisingly high conversion rates. They say something like 2% to 3%.
That's a lot.
Compared to online methods, which usually fall somewhere between 0.4% and 1.2%. So that direct engagement, it seems like it can still make a big difference.
It can, especially for certain demographics. Not everyone is comfortable online, and some people really appreciate that personal touch.
Right.
But I think the key with door knocking is to be respectful. You don't want to be intrusive. You want to offer value. Maybe you share some insights about the local market, or you just introduce yourself as a resource.
Yeah. So for all of you listening out there, the takeaway here is that even in today's digital world, focusing on those conversations and really nurturing those relationships, both online and offline, is a high-impact strategy.
Absolutely. It shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be integrated into everything you do.
Yeah, it should be the foundation of your business. So think about how you can be more intentional about connecting with your sphere, with your past clients. Maybe even consider incorporating some of those traditional methods, like the phone calls or the door knocking, if it feels right for your market and your personality. And of course, always be respectful of either time and space. Okay, so that kind of leads us to our next theme, which is really all about how we navigate this constantly evolving market.
Yes, with the help of some modern marketing strategies and technologies. And this is where things get really exciting, I think.
Absolutely. And Emile Platnier's article in Housing Wire really lays out the current landscape. He emphasizes that a strong online presence is no longer optional. It's absolutely essential.
Yeah, it's table stakes at this point. You can't really afford to ignore it.
And he even points to data from NAR that 51% of millennials prefer agents.
Wow.
With a strong social media presence. And in 2024, more sellers found their agent online than through referrals.
That's a huge shift. It really shows how the digital space is dominating the market. And Laplatnier's article is just packed with different online marketing strategies. He talks about using AI in ad campaigns through platforms like Meta Advantage Plus and Google Performance Max. And these tools can be really helpful for targeting potential clients and automating a lot of the ad management process, which can save you a lot of time.
Oh yeah, time is precious, especially in this business.
It is. He also highlights the importance of interactive buyer and listing presentations. Those really engaging presentations that help people visualize the property, and personalized video text messages using services like BombBomb and Dub, which add that personal touch.
Yeah, I mean, we all get so many emails and texts these days.
We do. Then it's really refreshing to see something that feels tailored to you and actually comes from a real person.
Absolutely. And Le Platinier even talks about using AI for virtual staging with tools like Colav AI, which can be a game changer for helping buyers imagine a property's potential.
It is.
Honestly, the number of ideas in that article, it's almost overwhelming,
Yep.
but in a good way. It shows you just how many options are out there. From creating shareable, viral memes.
Oh, yes.
And those short educational videos. Remember he mentioned coffee and contracts. To running polls on social media, leveraging online reviews through platforms like Reach 150, creating neighborhood tours for YouTube, sending out email newsletters, packed with market insights from places like Altos Research and CINC. I mean, the list goes on and on.
It does. And it really shows that it's not just about being online. It's about creating content that actually provides value. And that stands out from the crowd.
Right. And what's interesting is that even with this heavy focus on digital, the article also reminds us that offline marketing still matters.
It does.
Things like hosting free classes and seminars to establish yourself as the local expert, sending out personalized handwritten cards.
Oh, yeah.
Through services like Handwritten, for that extra personal touch.
That human touch.
Building referral relationships with local businesses. And even those little pop-by gifts from companies like Market Dwellings. These are all tangible things.
They are.
That can really solidify those relationships and make a lasting impression.
I agree.
And speaking of making an impression, Laura Griffin's strategy for building a 7-figure GCI using Facebook groups,
Wow.
which is also highlighted in Housing Wire, provides a really concrete example of how you can leverage online platforms to generate those warm leads organically.
Yeah, it's a great case study. And her 6-step system, which focuses on building a hyper-local community around a non-real estate niche topic, is a really interesting way to foster those genuine connections that we've been talking about.
Right. But within a digital space. So it's not about constantly pushing listings.
Exactly. It's about becoming that go-to resource for your community.
Yeah.
And the real estate conversations kind of emerge naturally from that.
So it's all about providing value first.
Exactly. You establish yourself as trusted authority, and then the leads come to you.
Okay. So the big takeaway here is that to be a successful real estate agent today, You need a multifaceted approach.
You do. You can't just rely on one or two tactics. You need to blend the online and the offline. And you need to be constantly adapting to the changing market.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to experiment with some of those newer technologies, like AI for ads or virtual staging. But at the same time, don't lose sight of the power of creating valuable content and building those relationships online.
I love that.
And, Laura Griffin's Facebook group strategy is a really great example of that.
It is. It's something that anyone can adapt to their own market.
And while we're talking about adapting, let's move on to our third key theme,
Okay.
which is all about agent mobility and the latest trends in the market. And this comes from Rob Keefe's analysis in Housing Wire, now typically, as we move into spring, which is a busy time in real estate. You'd expect to see an increase in agents exploring new opportunities.
Right.
And brokerages ramping up their recruitment effort.
Right. It's kind of the natural cycle.
But Keefe's analysis through February 2025 actually shows a slowdown in agent mobility
Really?
across all of the metrics they track,
Ugh.
which is a pretty surprising deviation.
It is. From the usual patterns.
So what do you think is going on there?
Well, Keefe suggests that it could be a result of some uncertainty in the market. We've had some regulatory changes recently, and the overall economic climate is still a bit unpredictable.
Right. So maybe both agents and brokerages are taking a more cautious approach.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
When things are uncertain, people tend to hold on to what they know.
To that stability.
Exactly. And there's actually a more positive point in Keefe's analysis. While the movement of agents is slowing down, the number of active agents seems to be stabilizing.
Oh, that's good. So while the number is still a bit lower than in previous years, it could be a sign that the agent exodus we saw in 2024 might be starting to level off.
That would be great news.
It would. And what I found really interesting was Keefe's interpretation of this. He sees it as a chance for brokerages to really reinforce their value proposition.
Oh, I like that. So in this environment, where agents might be less inclined to switch, it becomes even more important for brokerages to emphasize the stability they offer, the support systems they have in place, and the technological resources they provide.
Right. So it's not just about recruiting new agents. It's also about keeping the ones you have.
Exactly. And that means creating a culture where agents feel valued and supported.
And I think that brings us to a really interesting insight from all of this information, which is that the slowdown in agent mobility during what's normally a peak recruitment season could actually indicate a shift in agent sentiment.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of actively looking for something new, agents are prioritizing the security and the familiarity of their current brokerage.
That makes sense. In times of uncertainty, the known quantity can often feel more appealing than the potential unknowns of a new situation.
Right. It's like that feeling of I'd rather stick with what I know,
Exactly.
even if it's not perfect, than risk jumping ship and ending up in a worse situation.
It's a flight to safety.
Yeah. And I think that's a really valuable takeaway for both brokers and agents. If you're a broker, now is the time to focus on strengthening those internal resources and the support that you offer your agents. And if you're an agent, this period of relative stability could be a great opportunity to really double down on your client relationships and your marketing efforts within your current brokerage.
Yeah, make the most of the environment that you're in.
So when we look at all of these themes together, it really highlights how interconnected everything is.
Yes.
Building those strong relationships isn't just a nice idea. It's a fundamental driver of repeat business and referrals, which, as we've seen, can be so crucial.
Yeah.
Especially in a potentially more cautious market.
Absolutely.
And using technology strategically.
Yeah.
In your marketing.
Yeah.
Can help you reach a wider audience. But it's that human connection that really converts those leads into clients.
It always comes back to that human element.
It does. And the slowdown in agent mobility
Right.
really emphasizes that the overall value proposition of brokerage, including the support, the technology, and that sense of stability is becoming even more important.
It is.
For both attracting and retaining agents. And, speaking of providing value, the Realtor Magazine article also touched on the member benefits offered by NAR.
Oh, yeah.
Things like discounts on appliances, insurance options, and services that can help with moving. Those can be really useful tools for agents to offer their clients. Adds value beyond just the transaction itself. And it helps you build that long-term loyalty.
Absolutely. It's a way to show your clients that you're thinking about their needs, even after the deal is closed.
So as we head into another week, remember that the foundation of your business is really about building those authentic relationships Embrace the changes in the marketing landscape.
Yeah.
And use technology to your advantage, but never underestimate the power of that personal touch. And with the current trends in age and mobility, it seems like focusing on internal strength and client retention could be a really smart move right now.
I agree. It's a good time to focus on what you can control.
So we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable food for thought and maybe even some actionable ideas to try out in your business. What strategies resonated most with you? In today's market, are you seeing similar trends in your local area? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
We would, so feel free to reach out to us and share your insights.
And remember, we're here to help you navigate this ever-changing industry and be the best you can be.
That's right.
Thanks so much for tuning in to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time with another deep dive into the information that matters most to your success.
See you then.
If you're interested in your own personalized edition of The Wire, please visit us at thewire.fm/custom. We offer market-specific podcasts with all the latest real estate news and market analysis delivered to you weekly or monthly. Own your market with a personalized edition of The Wire, the week in real estate. Thank you for listening.